We will get started in just a couple minutes. Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to our session on the Success Coach Advising Model, Improving the Student Experience. My name is Jennifer Hatley, and I am the Dean of Advising at Stanley Community College. And this is Jessica Baker. She is our Success Coach Director. And she said, I am Jessica Baker. I'm the Success Coach Director, and I've also worked as a Success Coach since the implementation of our advising model. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat as we speak, and we'll answer them at the end. So I'll go ahead and share our screen. Okay. Okay. All right. So for many years, we had noticed problems with our advising model that we had. Students complained about various things with it, and we knew we had issues, and we tried to patch them along the way, but it just wasn't a perfect fit for us. Our faculty advising model that we previously had worked for the most part, but we wanted that student experience to be improved upon and our students to be satisfied with everything possible with advising. So some issues that we faced with our faculty advising model was that our students were on the faculty schedule. They showed up for their advising, and the faculty may or may not have time to see them based on if they were going to class or they had other committee responsibilities that they were attending, meetings, and things like that. Also, many of our faculty were 9-month faculty members, and so over the summer, those students could not see their faculty member, and they would be bounced from person to person for advising. And with our faculty advising model, we had around 100 or so faculty advisors, and trying to get that many people in for training was pretty tough. And so many times the faculty would not receive training or consistent training to share that information with our students. And the students would sometimes get misinformation. They wouldn't have the most up-to-date information on things that were going on with financial aid or our business office, important things that they needed to know about. So as a result of our issues that we had, students would oftentimes leave campus without seeing an advisor, or they would see someone they have never saw before. They would see many different advisors in one semester and have to retell their story, their goals, their plans over and over. And recently I attended a conference where we had a student speaker, and that student said one thing that they did not like about their experience with advising at their school was that they had to tell their story over and over and over again. And they wanted just to tell their story to one person one time. And so that really resonated with us to make sure that we were meeting students' needs, that students just really wanted to tell their story to one person one time. And then we wanted to make sure that the students always had the most up-to-date information, that they weren't missing out on something because their advisor hadn't been trained yet on it or had missed that training opportunity. So we thought about all those problems and ways to improve it. And in the beginning of 2016, sometime around April and then again in October of 2016, several members of our community college went to the Pathways Institute, and we really focused on advising and our advising model there. Then in 2017, our executive leadership team participated in an advising retreat, and we focused more and more on advising and how to change that for our campus. Then after they returned from the retreat, our vice presidents got together and were tasked to put together a plan for advising moving forward at Stanley Community College. So once that plan was created and was ready to be implemented, we introduced the plan to the college in April of 2018. And then by July of 2018, we were full on implemented with our new Success Coach advising model. We had transitioned from a faculty advising model to a professional Success Coach advising model, where the Success Coaches were all assigned to students. They were assigned to students based on the programs of study that the students were in. The coaches were always available to help students at the students' most convenient time. They were knowledgeable of all of our student services through extensive training. And as you'll learn more here in a moment, we trained and we trained and we trained, and then we trained some more. We wanted to make sure that there was nothing that our coaches were not familiar with or did not know how to find the answer to. Our coaches have a regular contact with each student that they are assigned to. Our coaches are responsible for contacting their students at a minimum of 3 times a semester, and one of those contacts must be by phone. They work to help students get their questions answered when they come to them, especially those that are new to the college and may not understand how to get registered for classes and all the processes and procedures that go along with that. The coaches also help their students stay on path. They map out their courses for them throughout the semester, throughout the year, and throughout the whole entire program, so that at any given time, a student knows how many courses they have left to complete their degree, their diploma, their certificate. If a student withdraws from a course, the Success Coach reaches out to that student and helps them remap that course and get them back on path so that they don't get behind. And then the coaches also work very closely with the faculty members who are completing early alerts. So if an early alert is sent out on a student, the Success Coach can reach out to them and help them in that way too. Our new advising model was so important to us that we wanted to make sure that it was embedded everywhere. And that included our strategic plan and our mission statement. And as you can read here, our mission statement focuses on students, number one. We value our students. And so we wanted to make sure that our advising model met what we felt was important in our strategic plan and our mission statement. Our college put forth a very strong emphasis on our advising model, and we wanted to show it through our mission statement and our strategic plan. One of our priorities that we originally had back in 2018 was that we wanted to make a holistic shift from a faculty-driven advising model by implementing a professional advising model within student success. And so over time, over the last 4 years, we have worked on that implementation. And now we have changed our priority to continue the professional advising model within student success and strengthen the faculty mentoring for students. So we just wanted to make sure that we were serving our students every way possible and that we were living up to the expectations we had.
Although we have transitioned from that faculty focus or that faculty advising model to the professional advising model, the collaboration between the advisors and the faculty is a key aspect of the success of our model. Advising falls directly under student success, but we do work daily with the faculty. And this is reflected everywhere from our job descriptions to our day-to-day routines. With the job descriptions, working with faculty is part of that. And many of our success coaches also have background in their programs of study, and sometimes even with this specific program as a former student of the college. An example of this is with our success coach for business administration. She went through the program herself. Or with our success coach in our allied health, who has both career and education experience in her program of study. And this really helps our coaches to connect really well with students, both with what to expect in the career field and what to expect while going through the program. Faculty and staff collaboration is also an important part of the interview process, where the interview committee was made up of faculty from that program, as well as student success staff, and even the associate vice president of academics. These success coaches undergo extensive and continuous training, and faculty are a part of this as well. And we'll touch more on that in just a moment. To really facilitate that collaboration between the success coaches and the faculty, each of our success coaches are embedded within their school. So they're in the same building and most often in the same hall, so they can be in that close proximity to work together. Success coaches attend meetings within their programs and with the faculty and program heads, as well as within their division and with their overall school. And we also work with our faculty to take part in outreach events, such as going out to the high schools or attending community events. We may work together with local employers or with scholarship organizations that focus on our area of study. And here's just an example of our extensive and continuous training. All the coaches go through advising training, and part of this may be working with other advisors who have been in the success coach role for an extended amount of time. We have checklists to ensure students get consistent information across the board, no matter what program they're in. We also receive training on calling data tells, so we can access the information we need for students to provide as much detail as possible. We receive training on early alerts, which we will touch more on shortly, as this is a really important aspect of our jobs. We work with the business office and the financial aid office, and we have had extensive training on RISE and developmental math and English, which we started implementing around the same time the Success Coach model was created. We receive training on self-service, which we do use to map out plans with the students, and we can help them navigate that. We go through training on new student orientation, and all of our success coaches go through the orientation themselves to be able to thoroughly walk students through that process and answer any questions they might have. We work with all different areas of the college to be able to be sure that success coaches are knowledgeable about all of the resources available to students, whether that's tutoring, counseling, and even resources within our community. Customer service is a big training that all of the coaches go through, And an important one as far as the collaboration with faculty is we work directly with the faculty in our areas. We want the success coaches to know the expectations of the courses in the degree plan, how to sequence the most appropriately, and how to help students really balance those workloads with any other expectations they have in their lives. And then all of our coaches also are required to do a minimum of 8 hours each year of diversity, equity, and inclusion training. And having this very broad knowledge of everything available to students really allows coaches to be that point of contact for anything the student needs. And if we don't have the answer, we want to make sure that we can get that for them. And we think so far, since this advising model has been implemented, we are starting to see positive results already. This is some information from our early childhood program in particular as far as retention. And from the time the Success Coach model was implemented in 2018-2019 school year, we have had our total successful completions increase just in one school year from 1,396 to 1,623 for this program. Our success and completion rates are continuing to increase. Our completion rate in 2018-19 for this program was 80%. In 2019-2020 school year, it rose to 81, and from what we're seeing so far, it's looking like our completion and success rating for the 2020-2021 school year is around 84%, even amidst COVID. Our withdrawals have also decreased, and we've seen a withdrawal rate drop from 15% in 2018-2019 to 12% in 2019-2020. And so far from what we can see, it is at 11% for 2020-2021, and we hope this is a continuing trend. Overall, these students are attempting more credits, and they are completing more credits successfully, and we really feel that this is attributed to that collective effort between faculty and our success coaches working together to provide the most possible support for all of our students. And here's an example of some of the work our success coaches do with the faculty and the students. We have one of our success coaches on the far right in the green shirt, Garrett. He works with our industry and trades area in technology, and he attended the Skills USA competition with the faculty and with the students, and was such a great support going there and assisting the faculty with what they needed and cheering on his students. So our success coaches work really hard to be involved in everything we can to support our students. And here's another example of some of our success coaches taking part in community events. This is pre-COVID, but we are looking forward to getting back out into the community as our restrictions are lifted. But all three of the individuals at this table are success coaches, and they're all from different areas. And a really important aspect of our role is being with students from the time they express that initial interest through their graduation or completion of their goals. And many times we're even staying in touch with students before then. So we really make an effort to be out there in our community and supporting students and answering any questions they have from the beginning to the end.
Another way we have strengthened the student experience was by creating a leads page on our website. In the previous picture, I'll go back to it here with the coaches. What you may or may not can tell from that table, there's a computer, a laptop sitting there. And on that laptop, they're able to pull up our leads page. And so if a student or a potential student would walk up to them and ask questions, they could fill that information out right there on the spot. And before the student even walked away from the table, their success coach would know, or a success coach in that program area would know there was a student interested in that program. We put a direct link on our homepage to this leads page so that if anyone browsing our website stumbled across it and wanted to know more information about a specific program, they could fill this out with their name and contact information and submit it. Once it's submitted, it is routed to the appropriate coach based off of what was chosen for their academic interest. That coach would then receive this lead, and they can call the student, email the student, or both, and answer, or the potential student, I should say, and answer any questions they may have. And the purpose of this and the goal is to create that relationship right from the start and give that student or that individual what they need to know about making a decision on coming to our college. And then we can review the leads that we've received, track them, and then hopefully check these people off as new students to our college. If they've not applied after they've created or submitted a leads page, we can reach out to them again and try to encourage them to do so if that is one of their interests or one of their goals to do. In planning our advising loads for our success coaches, we kept asking over and over, how many advisees should an advisor have? And no one could ever really tell us a good answer. We heard numbers from 300 to 1,000, and some colleges have way more than 1,000 students per advisor. So we had to look to see what was best for us and try to figure out what would work for us based on our funds, who we had, our students, the number of students in each program, so many determining factors. We started out thinking we wanted around 500 students per success coach. We felt that was a good place to start. We determined how many students were in each program and figured out how many coaches we would need for each program. Since some programs have really large numbers and some programs have really small numbers, we needed to determine how many students to put in each, to assign to each coach, and how many programs to group for advising. For example, our early childhood program was one of the largest programs we have. So we decided to designate 2 coaches solely to that program. And although we have many different technology and trades programs, there are very few students in each of those programs. So we decided to lump all those programs together for one success coach. Some success coaches have many programs that they're responsible for, and other success coaches may only have 1 or 2. But we try to keep the advising number about the same. But over time, our numbers quickly began to rise, and that number of 500 advisees per coach kept creeping up and up till we were hitting 600, 700, 800 for some programs. And then we were able to review this information, and fortunately we were able to add some additional coaches to our model with the intent of bringing advising loads down to around 300 per advisor or success coach. In 2018, we started out with 9 success coaches, and we've since added 2 more success coaches for a total of 11. And as you can see from our advising loads we've listed here for you, we're starting to see another increase in our loads again. And so it is our goal to add at least 1 more success coach this year. Another change we implemented along with our new success coach advising model was mandatory advising. Initially, we started out with advising being mandatory for just the first 30 hours in each program. But as our model grew and we started having great success with it, and improvements were being seen, and students were very happy with our new advising model and the service that they were seeing or being given, other programs started requesting that we make advising mandatory for the full length of the program instead of just for the first 30 hours. Currently, all of our programs have full length advising except for allied health and technology. But by the fall of 2022, all of our programs will have full length advising. And here is just a picture of one of our success coaches with a student, and this is pre-COVID. Another way we thought we could improve our student experience was through our onboarding process. We saw another opportunity here, and we decided to revamp our admissions packets for all new applicants. We made sure to include all the resources a student would need to get started at Stanley Community College, and we placed a big emphasis on directing new students to their success coach right from the start. Each success coach receives weekly, if not sometimes daily, notifications that they have a new applicant in one of their programs. And the coaches reach out immediately to that student and give them their next steps and help direct them to the mandatory new student orientation, which is online. In their packet, not only do they get a letter from their success coach, they get their business card, so they have their contact information. They have a list of free student services, such as our tutoring and a food pantry and what's available through financial aid. We give them information on how to identify their username and their password, and we give them program-specific information so that they are sure they have selected the right program for their career goals. In the welcome packet, it also tells them how to get started with new student orientation, which is required for all new students. It is online, and it lasts about 2 hours. Pre-COVID, it was offered both seated and online, but it has since moved to totally online and is working well. It consists of a few short videos, some short quizzes to see how much the student knows, and we offer that through our LMS, which is Canvas. In addition to what the coaches what's included, in their admissions packet on their career choice. We also incorporate a bit of that at the beginning of our admissions process in the first 3 steps to make sure that the student is in the correct career path, or they are choosing the correct career path. And then we also, once the student meets with their success coach, the coach has a conversation with that student to make sure that they understand all the program requirements and what jobs and opportunities are available after they graduate in that program, just to ensure that that student is in the right program. And finally, we have another career exploration piece in our ACA class. It is our student success course that all students must take their first semester with us. And this looks at career exploration through specific assignments in the course. Students are also directed to our SCC Career Connect portal, where they can create a profile, career assessments, and interest inventories. Students are also able to upload resumes and apply for internships or local jobs within our community.
So once students get started in courses, we do have our early alert system, Dropout Detective, to help the success coaches monitor the progress and how the students are doing in the courses. As mentioned before, we do use Canvas as our learning management system, and our early alert system is Dropout Detective. And this is embedded directly into Canvas and connects information to the courses each student is in. Dropout Detective uses a red, yellow, green alert system to monitor progress for each of our students. So things that could impact this color system are how frequently the student is logging in, what their current grade in the class is, if they are missing assignments or have zeros. All of this impacts whether they have a red, yellow, or green. And the success coaches have a dashboard for all of their advisees where they can continue to monitor how their students are doing in courses. And we can really use it as a proactive way to reach out to students and just check in and see if there are any supports that they need, make sure everything's going okay. If the student is having any difficulty in the courses, the instructor can also raise an alert if they feel success coach intervention is needed. And there are a variety of reasons for this. This could be if the student is in need of any kind of support services, whether that is speaking with a counselor, needing a referral, if they could benefit from tutoring, if they're having trouble accessing food or shelter. This is something we can connect with students about. If the student has been absent from their seated class or not participating in their online class, if they have missed major assignments that can greatly impact their grade or haven't logged in yet for an online class for the census date, this is something the success coaches can reach out about to check in with the students, see if there's anything we can do, and if there are any supports that could assist them. If the student's just on a downward trend, if they're repeatedly missing assignments, they've turned in nothing that week and are getting close to that participation deadline, we can reach out and see if we can get them back on track. And here is an example to the right of one of our early alerts. And as you can see, there is a tag on the bottom that gives us more context from the faculty member for how what their concerns are. And this student here was having some personal struggles and hadn't been communicating with the instructor, but then the instructor stopped hearing from her, and the student started missing multiple assignments. And the success coach was able to take this opportunity to reach out and see what's going on and see if the student felt she would be able to get caught up if we were able to work with her to get back on track. And if not, if we could discuss the process for withdrawal. And the student was able to end up connecting with that success coach and getting back on track in the class. So this is a great method of communication between the instructor and the success coach for the student, of course with FERPA considerations in mind. And it's an amazing way to provide support from all different angles for the student. The other ways that we communicate with students and really give that personalized approach is we have several reports and several ways that we are documenting this communication. As shown before, there is a checklist that all of the success coaches use to make sure we're on the same page with what information we're providing students and making sure what we're covering each time we speak. All the success coaches do have a link for Calendly, which we use for our appointments. And students can make an in-person advising appointment, a phone advising appointment, and a video advising appointment. And these video appointments are especially popular with our distance programs, but these became such a great thing to have during the pandemic when we were working remotely, as the students could still have that face-to-face interaction with us and still keep that connection while we were all at home. The success coach information for each of the areas for each coach is available in multiple places. As mentioned before, it goes in a packet directly to the student, but it's also available on our website where students can connect. They can get their email address, a phone number, office number, appointment links, everything they need to contact their success coach is readily available. And an important way that success coaches keep track of all this information is documentation. The success coaches use OneNote for each of their advising loads, so they have a page for each of their advisees. And on this, we can keep track of, we can do a virtual checklist with the information we're supposed to be covering. We can see what kind of documents they've needed. And when we're discussing, say, a change of curriculum form or a financial aid document that we see they need, we can keep track of it here and continue to document those phone conversations or email conversations and what we're covering. And I think this really helps us to keep our advising very personalized. For example, if a student lets us know they're struggling in English this semester and they are interested in our Writing Center for some tutoring, that's something we can check in with them to see how that went and see if there's any other supports they need the next time we speak, or if their child is having some struggles with their health, then we can continue to check in with them the next time we speak about that. The success coaches also do a lot of documentation through our reports. And I know we've mentioned the leads before that the students complete, and we get email copies of that as students express that interest. And the success coaches reach out to those students by phone and follow up by email just to see if we can help them get started. And we continue to monitor that to see if those students have applied and converted to a student. We also receive a new applicants list once a week at the beginning of every week, but once it gets close to the starting of classes, we get that daily so we can reach out as soon as the students apply and help get them started, start taking those notes, and help get them on the track they're interested in. We get reports of who's applied but not yet registered. So with those students who show up on that new applicants list who haven't been yet enrolled in classes, we can continue to reach out and see if we can make sure those steps that they needed were completed or make sure they're still interested and on the right track. We also receive a deregistration list shortly before the beginning of classes for students that have registered but not yet paid. And something that the coaches do keep track of is that intended payment method, whether it's financial aid, it could be a scholarship or employee sponsor if they're paying out of pocket. And we can continue to communicate with those students about that payment deadline, or if something's not right with their financial aid, help them get that figured out ahead of time. We also receive, whenever students do withdraw or drop from the class, we receive an email with that. So that way we can reach out to the student and help them remap. And if they haven't registered for the next semester and that next semester is about to start, we're reaching out to see if we can help get them in. As mentioned before, we do have to contact students a minimum of 3 times per semester, although it is often far more than this that we're in touch with our students. And one of those has to be a phone call. Typically, we do that at the midpoint of the semester, and if they're registered, we can check in and see how everything's going with their classes, with their work at home, just making sure everything's going well. And if they haven't registered, we can inform them of upcoming important dates with maybe second 8-week classes that are coming up, or the next part of the semester, making sure they have that documentation they need to get started. And then each coach also has a link at the bottom of their signature, and it's on our website as well, to let students have a way to send in information about how their coach is doing. And this goes directly to the supervisor. So if a success coach is doing a phenomenal job and their student submits this, it's always great to be able to reach out to that coach and share those kudos for doing a great job. But it also allows us, if there are any issues that are popping up, then we can go ahead and address those early on. And something we have recently started doing with the success coaches is a student intake survey. And this has been fantastic already in my experience working with students. We use an office-based survey that is a total of 17 questions, but from what we're seeing, it only takes about an average of 3 minutes to complete. The questions on the intake survey are some questions that are helpful for the success coach to know with how we're advising the student, as well as some questions that address Perkins populations, which is especially important for our career and technical education, or CTE programs. And although many of the questions do address Perkins populations, each question has the option for students to say they prefer not to answer if they choose to do so. Each coach does have their own survey link where they can access the answers from their students. And as each new student is applying, we make sure they're completing that as they get started. And then all of our current students were also sent the link so that they can complete it, so we can better offer those really personalized supports for them. And then as the college needs the data, it can be exported directly into an Excel file. So it's really helpful when looking at characteristics of our early childhood program or characteristics of our nursing program. We can get a good overview of what the students are going through, what their characteristics are, and how we can better support them. And here's just a couple clips of some of the questions on it and what this looks like for the success coach. So this one is from part of our early childhood students that are with a certain part of the alphabet, so it's only the success coach that works with these students that sees this information. So you can see we ask about the employment status, if they're having any difficulty securing employment, marital status, if they have dependents, and all of that is really helpful with us when discussing what their goals are, what they're comfortable with as far as a course load. Because the needs of a student who is a single mother of 2 young children and working full time may differ from an 18-year-old student who's just left high school and is not working but attending school and wanting to go full time. So we really want to make sure we tailor those supports that we give to students and how we're planning with them and what they're comfortable with to the needs of that individual student. There is some other really helpful information if the student chooses to disclose it, such as if they're experiencing homelessness, if they're having difficulty providing food for themselves or their family. We can really help to connect them with those local resources if they are local, like our food pantry on campus, or with certain programs, there may be a lot of distant students. We can really work with that student to help them find resources close to them to make sure those basic needs are met so that way we can support them in their school. Another questions we might ask are military service or if they've been in foster care, just different ways that we can connect them with resources, scholarship opportunities, anything we can do to best support the student.
And our final thoughts. So if you are thinking about changing your advising model or anything on your campus to improve the student experience, we feel that you must ask yourself the difficult questions. Answer it honestly. Do you have the best advising model for your students? And sometimes that's hard to do. You think what you're doing is the best way, or you think it might be difficult to change something. But keep in mind your students are why we're here and who we're here to serve. What can you do to improve the student experience? Where are gaps and holes in your current model? Don't be afraid to try something new. Just because no one else is doing what you're thinking about doing doesn't mean it's a bad idea. Step out there and try something new. There are faculty benefits to our Success Coach model. It was a big morale booster. The faculty sometimes felt that they couldn't be the faculty member they needed to be and the advisor to the student all in one. They were torn between going to class and staying for an advising appointment. So this was a real big morale booster for our faculty that they could focus on teaching and developing their courses. And our students were very excited and happy that they had one person that was always available to them. And then also look at your model and what you're doing. Are you prepared? Fortunately, we were prepared. We had implemented so many online processes and virtual options for our students that when the pandemic hit, we just kept running with it. It didn't stop us in any way. We were able to smoothly transition from being on campus to working out of our homes, and our students were already utilizing our online email and phone call appointment options. And so this was no different from working from home, from being on campus. So just think about those things as you are deciding whether or not to change your model or to implement something new. And finally, we will open it up to questions. If anyone has any questions, they can put them in the chat for us.
Well, thank you for joining us. Any questions?
If you happen to think of any later on that maybe you want more information about, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you.